Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And no anniversary review this time, so just going on as usual. I decided to take a look at a film of a kind of like a romantic comedy type of type of film. Which usually romantic comedies are not that especially romance films are not that type my type of thing though. But there's a couple I like though. But this one was definitely worth a watch because it stars John Candy, who I miss very much. Seems like a very extremely nice guy, and he's just one of those actors that I really do miss. Along with John Ritter and Dennis Hopper. I miss those guys, and I definitely miss John Candy a lot. And reviewing one of his films that was released in 1991. The year it was actually just like very close to. Actually, it was like very close to when I was born. Actually, so yeah, I was born at the beginning of June, and this came out in late May '91. So yeah, very close to when I was born actually. But yeah, so film stars John Candy, and that is Only the Lonely. And of course, you heard the title "Only the Lonely" was also a song that Roy Orbison played, which does play at the opening of the movie. This is the same guy who sang "Pretty Woman." But oh, only the lonely. Da, 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 da. So yeah, so Only the Lonely stars John Candy, like I mentioned. May rest in peace. I really miss him very much. I love John Candy. I enjoyed most of his movies, from The Great Outdoors. My favorite performance of his, of course, is in Planes, Trains, Automobiles. Just shows that he had just such a good heart in Planes, Trains, Automobiles. Good comedy otherwise too, but still had a very warmth and hearth to it as well. And like I said, The Great Outdoors, Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I absolutely love him in Spaceballs. Spaceballs, like I said, my all-time favorite comedy film. But performance-wise, Planes, Trains, Automobiles is John Candy's best. But it doesn't mean I still like him when he played Barf in Spaceballs. I like his little appearance in Home Alone with Catherine O'Hara hitching a ride home, talking with John Candy, and from Summer Rental and Armed and Dangerous. And just John Candy, he was such a great actor, and also in the same year as this film, this came out, like I said, 1991, and also in the same year he be starring in Nothing But Trouble with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, which honestly though within the same year. Which John Candy film I think is better and funnier. I would still pick Nothing But Trouble. I'll have to review that though, but I enjoyed Nothing But Trouble. That was the only film that Dan Aykroyd directed, and that film flopped. But I like Nothing But Trouble. But this film, John Candy did a really good job acting. It still has the comedy to it though, some of the comedy, but it also has drama as well, and it shows how he can do really good doing the drama, which I'll get into. And the rest of the cast I thought did a really good job as well. Maureen O'Hara plays John Candy's mom, which she was retired though, but for years, but then she came out of retirement to do this film. And you have Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club, and of course she was also in Short Circuit. She was also in Man's Best Friend. I like that movie. The dog. Man's Best Friend. Ali Sheedy, I enjoy her. Beautiful actress. Um, and also supporting cast, you have Kevin Dunn, who I enjoy as an actor as well. He plays John Candy's brother. You have Anthony Quinn, which I may remember him from Last Action Hero when he was the Italian mob boss. But I've seen him in other movies. He was a good actor as well. He's another guy who's now no longer with us. He plays the neighbor who likes Maureen O'Hara, and you have Jim Belushi as well, who plays John's best friend, who has like this obsession with sex. So good supporting cast, and it's written and directed by Chris Columbus, who just like the year before this, he directed Home Alone. Everyone knows what Chris Columbus ever goes to this film with Home Alone, and then as well as the sequel. Sorry. But Chris Columbus, also Mrs. Doubtfire, how can I forget, and then Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone, and then The Chamber of Secrets. But Chris Columbus is a good director, and also like his film debut when he directed Adventures in Babysitting, which I enjoy. And then a couple years ago he directed Pixels, which was not that good though, sadly. But but I thought he did pretty decent with this film. And John Hughes, he helped produce this film. Was the guy that's also missed as well, John Hughes. And I forget. I forgot that Chris Columbus, did he direct Uncle Buck as well? Also starring John Candy. I believe he did direct Uncle Buck. It's another good John Candy film as well. But I thought it was a pretty decent romantic comedy film, as well as some good drama as well. As the story, as the film opens up, you have the song "Only the Lonely" playing, and it's in Chicago, and John Ken, he is a cop, and he lives with his mother, played by Maureen O'Hara. John Candy, that now with the whole thing with Maureen O'Hara plays Danny's mother. That's Danny's John Candy's character. She has this little thing about she doesn't like about certain national types of people. Like because she keeps turning the neighbor Anthony Quinn, who likes her though, keeps on turning him down because he's Greek. She keeps on saying things about Greek people, or when Johnny Candy tells her she's dating Ali Sheedy, that she's asking, is she Irish? No. And he asks her like she's Italian, and it's like, oh, she better not be Sicilian, and he goes she is. And she starts rambling about Sicilians, what things are done by Sicilians, and also in which she goes on much more things also because she said about she's part Polish as well, and while they were at dinner she was talking about Polish as well, Polish people as well. So she's kind of a bit of a racist bit, like certain different types of people, except Irish, because that's what Maureen O'Hara as long as John Candy as well, they're Irish. So yeah, and it kind of makes you kind of not like the mother because of the way she keeps on hurting people, and just this thing always says, like, I'm just telling it as it is. So But as acting wise, I think Maureen O'Hara did a good job as well. But as I was saying, that John Candy, he's a cop and he's living with his mother, and like she kind of way that she keeps him puts his mother in front of everyone, because like he was supposed to go to this ball game, and but on a night, and then but her mother says like, oh, it's but that night is bingo night. We always go to bingo night. And it makes John Candy have a vision that what would happen if he didn't go to bingo with her and she goes all alone, and she has a vision of her falling down to a manhole. It's like, oh, why didn't you go with me and all that? And it kind of makes him feel guilty about that, so he says, no, I'll go with you. So as they're going, like even like shows with next scene, like he shows with he's with his partner or his friend Jim Belushi, and they're just transporting criminals, and it's funny that the first one, the guy they transfer, you see them he's in the back of the van. That's actually the guy who was the bad guy in Adventures in Babysitting, who they're after the kids because they have that magazine they took from them. I was like, is that the guy from Adventures in Babysitting? He doesn't say a word. He goes, but the face is like, yeah, that is the guy from Adventures in Babysitting. He was the bad guy. I didn't even know that. So yeah, and then they're talking to each other, and he explains that he's the Jim Belushi's having with his wife that about the sex, and like he bought this this love machine sort of thing, and he got freaked his wife out, and he's sleeping on the couch. And it's nice to see Jim Belushi. I enjoy Jim Belushi as well. He's funny guy, of course, but with his brother John Belushi, but still Jim Belushi's still a funny guy. And he's also seeing him with a mullet as well. And then where his taking his mother out to the place to do bingo, and two guys bring this body in, which they request that they'll have his last drink together, and the guy from the church or the morgue says, you stole the body. It's like, okay. And that's where John Candy sees Ali Sheedy, and two of the older guys that are friends with them, the bachelors. One guy says, go and get her, ask her out on a date. And in which, in this case, he takes advice. He goes to the church, and Ali she does she puts makeup, get the on the dead bodies, get their faces nice and pretty, I should say, for their funeral, I guess. And John Kennedy's asking questions okay, so some reasons why you should not go out with me. You're seeing someone. No. You're washing your hair. No. You're going shopping. No. And he's asking if you're free on Saturday, and then she says yes. And they're gonna go on a date, and they get a funny scene where these people are carrying a coffin out with a flag on it, and then John Candy, as it goes outside, he says, "Yeah," and he goes. The people are looking at him. He's like, "Oh no." He's like, "I just got lucky in there." Oh, but it's not. But they're looking at him like, "Oh no, but it's not what you meant." That she does everybody in there. She probably did that guy too. I better go. And they're both looking at him. They're all looking at him like. So. And you can see with Anthony Quinn trying to talk with Maureen O'Hara. Like I said, she keeps on turning him down, and And even Anthony Quinn, I thought fun to see because he's just so there's like once he's happy for Danny. He's going out on a date with a girl, and which you see him later though, but still, Anthony Quinn, he did a good job for playing his name is Nick, in which which I call like Nick the Greek. And they go on John Candy and Ellie Sheedy, they go on a date. They're at which is this scene right here. They're out on a date out on the baseball field. And Ellie Sheedy, she's kind of like she's a shy, quiet type of girl. She wants to like to interact more to help make her talk more. And it's a nice little date, and Baskerville wants to go out with her again. And then in the next scene, John Kennedy's with Jim Belushi again, and we're there to take this dead body, which the elevator is broken, but they had to take the body all the way down 6 flight of stairs, and he's like, and Jim Belushi's question about his date with Ali, she's like, did you get laid? He's like, no, it was only one date and all that stuff, and since they don't want to carry the body down the stairs, they decide to lower the body with a fire hose outside the window, lowering it down to the ground. But the hose doesn't go further enough, and it's still hanging. And they both go, oh shit, and like maybe we should just pull him back up. And the hose snaps and just here, and they both go, oh shit, again. So he has some comment like made me laugh, like with the dead body, or like what John Candy was doing with the yeah. But then you get some good romantic stuff with Ali Sheedy and John Candy, where he was going to take her to the ballet, and it's Halloween night, and she gets his mother. He's like, oh, we always handle the apples on Halloween, and it's like going out with her. This is where she explains that who she is, what type she is. Like, is she Irish? She's Italian. She better not be Sicilian. She is. And she goes rambling about Sicilians, and she also shows she's a little bit of a racist and all that stuff, but still. So she's going on the date with Ali Sheedy to the ballet, and this is where he gets another vision about his mother being like killed, about one of those trick-or-treater in a mask. So he goes and checks on her, sees she's okay, and then everything's fine. And then later into the morning, and then that's where they both kiss. And then also I forget there was a part where earlier in the film where he was talking with his brother, played by Kevin Dunn, and one of Kevin Dunn's kids is actually you see Macaulay Culkin there, just a little role, just like that for that one scene. That was it. I was like, that's kind of weird because, like, this was in the summer of '91, just like in November in 1990 that when Home Alone was a huge hit that Chris Columbus directed and that made Macaulay Culkin a huge star, and then the next year after in '92 came the sequel, which was also a huge hit, and if you get here, Chris Columbus again, you have Macaulay Culkin pretty much in a 30-second appearance, which I find kind of weird because a film that's in between the years when Home Alone 1 and 2 are hits from the same director, Chris Columbus, I'm like, oh, okay, that's Macaulay Culkin right there in 30 seconds, and that was it. Which I find kind of weird. Because in between, both films are hits, with Home Alone 1 and 2, and then he's in this. But this film, it's also weird for Chris Columbus as well, because while both of those films are hits, while this film came out, it made like about $25 million. So that's kind of a weird thing where Home Alone, huge hit. This film, not so much. But the next year, well, because probably the name Home Alone 2, though, but still, it's, it's kind of weird, though. I just thought the whole thing was kind of weird about that, with this, and then Macaulay Culkin's appearance. And he also talked about that his brother wants to his mother and John Kennedy to go to Florida, but he says that he doesn't want to. And then you see him again that he has made plans to put them to Florida, and John Kennedy is like surprised, well, and on a good way, that why didn't you consult with me first? So, and then the next thing, when his mother goes out of town for the night, and asked Anthony Quinn to keep an eye, because the girl's gonna come over to his house where John Kennedy's gonna make dinner, and it's like, make sure she's out of this house at this certain time. And then Anthony Quinn, he's like, I'll make sure she'll be here exactly at 11:30. Okay, just like this. And John Kennedy's making a mess of dinner, and she's like, oh. I was like, okay, I'm not that hungry anyway. And one thing leads to another, and they make it out, and by the next morning, John's mother comes home early, and John Kennedy tries to hide Ali Sheedy, and it's like, is that girl gone? And he's like, oh, that's my mother. It's like, Dago girl. Well, she has an exclusive vocabulary. And then she tries to like sneak her out of the house while we're hiding behind her because he's big, and tries because you can't see her because he's behind her because he's big, and tries to sneaks her out of the house without her seeing. And then that's when you get to the date, the dinner where brings his mother along to meet her, and then he sees her in this dress. And he's like, where's her dress? And it's like, Mom. Well, no, the dress is a little bigger on top. And he's like, he dresses like a 13-year-old boy. And this is where she's talking about the Polish stuff, and she's being insulted, and John Kennedy doesn't say anything. She gets pissed and she leaves, and is like, why didn't you say anything? Stand up for me and all that. And then she gets in a taxi and leaves, and John Kennedy's mad about this, and you have this good scene where he confronts his mother about everything you say, you're always hurting people, and this is where he says, well, did you ever heard Dad? Do you ever heard Dad? And he talks about that she was the reason that his dad lost out on $450,000 because he was an accountant, and for this deal that would have made him a lot of money, but because of his mother, because she made more because the guy and his wife were Jewish. And that's another thing. Yeah, that's another one that she doesn't like, because they were Jewish. And this happened when he was a kid, and as I said, it was the first time I ever heard my dad cry. And I thought it was a really good scene where shows that John Kennedy doing some drama, and just fessing up to his mother. And then he goes, it's like, I'm gonna buy Teresa, that's Ali Sheedy's character. I'm gonna buy her the biggest engagement ring, and I'm gonna ask her to be my wife. I'm just telling you like it is. And John Kennedy did a really good job with that scene. So, and he gets the fire department, lifts him up to her window, and gives her the ring, and says, will you marry me? And she says yes. And pardon me. And in which his mother has to has to accept that his son is getting married, and you have another scene where he's talking with his brother because they're getting suits for the wedding, and and Kevin Dunn is asking you maybe you shouldn't just do this right away because you're rushing into it, and John Candy goes and says like, well, what? So you can make me feel guilty of all the things that you had? Fuck you. Yeah, he goes and deliberately drops the F-bomb on him. And then he goes and gives him a good punch in the face. It's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to punch you. You know what? No, I take that back. I did mean to punch you. But I just like the moment he goes and drops the F-bomb on him. And this is this is PG-13. For some reason I thought this was PG, but no, it's PG-13. Yeah, and so he goes to drops the F-bomb and gives him a good punch in the face. And it's like, okay, yeah, I deserve that. So then they have like a pre-wedding dinner, and Maureen O'Hara says, I don't want to accept her as my daughter-in-law, but to be my daughter. So she's accepted Ali Sheedy, but John Candy has this another vision about her mom getting in this car with someone who's like drunk. And this is upsetting Ali Sheedy because like, are you ever gonna put your mom before us? Are we ever gonna be alone? So this helps. This if frazzles John Candy's mind, and this the whole wedding is called off. So and then the next thing is that before that he gets it. Shortly after I forgot there's another funny scene where after he was announced that he was going to tells his mom that he's going to marry Teresa at the police station, the locker room. Maureen goes and walks in, and John Candy's just like, Jesus, mother. That was his reaction, and it's like because Jim Belushi sees her coming, and is like, oh, she is. I was like, yeah, she sounded fine. And he's like, oh, hi, Mrs. Muldoon. He's like, yeah, right. He's like, hello, Danny. He's like, Jesus, mother. And he's like, oh, don't say. I probably diapered half these guys. That was another funny. I thought that was another funny scene. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, after that, the wedding was called off, and he's talking with Jim Belushi again, and he's talking more. We're talking about the sex. It's like, was it your mother? It was her. And he's like, what, do you want to do her like a corpse? So then once he returns to that bar from earlier, and they tell us that one of the old guys, that are friends with them, and it's like one of the guys that were with him passed away, and the guy has nobody at his funeral. Says he died alone. And John Candy does thinking that he doesn't want to be alone, but he's gonna help his mom pack, and him and her were gonna go pack their bags to go to Florida, but then he changed his mind. He's gonna go and get Ali Sheedy back, and his mom. His mom does, first she tells him, like, I don't want to see you, or, it was a pain, you're on ball and chain, you were putting me up for, you were a ball and chain for putting me up for how many godforsaken years. That's what I was trying to say. But she walks out the door, then she comes back and says and says sorry. So, goes to go to her. And Anthony Quinn, this was earlier before he finally kisses her, and he goes with her on the airplane, and it's like, he's like, they're like this, and then the reclining seats on the airplane. It's like, oh, we'll finally be asleep together, and she's like, and then they're holding hands, and John Candy goes to her the funeral place where her father is, and tells her she's not here, she's gonna go to New York. So she races after he races after her, and she stops the train, brings it back, and she sees him, and basically she says the same questions like the first time they met each other. Is like, okay, the reasons why we can't get back together. You're seeing someone. No. You wax your legs. No. But it says that that he finally says, I finally put my mother aside, and it's gonna be about us now. So she says they both love each other again, and he has another vision. But what's gonna happen to her mother? But instead, though, she takes care of herself. Though she's like, there's these bad guys on a plane, and she beats up the bad guys. Anthony Quinn actually trips a guy. She punches the guy, beats up the other guy, and it's like, it's okay, Danny. I can take care of myself now. And then they both get on the train to New York together. So, Only the Lonely. It's a nice I would say it's a nice romantic comedy film with some good drama to it as well. John Candy, it was nice to watch for John Candy, because I miss John Candy, and this just sucks, about John Candy. I miss the guy very much. It was definitely worth a watch. See right there, I'm getting a little choked up because that's how much I miss John Candy. It was definitely worth a watch to watch for him. He did a really great job, and the one scene I thought he did really good for the drama parts, when it confronting his mother about what happened, and Maureen O'Hara, yeah, the whole thing she was supposed to be like, she's mean and a bit of racist, about different types of people, but at the end, finally accepting, about what with her son, made her peace with it. And Maureen O'Hara did good job as well. Ali Sheedy, I thought she still did really good as well. It's just, I think it's, to me, like I said, maybe it's because I'm not that into romance films or some romantic comedies as well. But I thought the John Candy and Ali Sheedy, I thought they were good together. I'll accept that. As for supporting cast, I thought it was nice to see Kevin Dunn, Anthony Quinn. I thought he was fun in the film. Jim Belushi, it was nice to see him as well. For when he was on screen with John Candy together, they were funny together. So it's nice. So it's nice to see a combination of two comedic actors between John Candy and Jim Belushi. It was nice to see that. Chris Columbus, I thought he did a really good job. Really good. I would say he did not a really good job, but I would say a very good job. I would say it's not one of my favorite films from Chris Columbus still though, but he did pretty decently good. I'll give it that. I think the only issue that I have is that this is on for like it's 105 minutes. So I thought it dragged on a little bit long though. But other than that though, that's the only nitpick I have is the pacing. But still, I thought it was a pretty decent film. I liked it. And especially, it's definitely watch for anyone who's a fan of John Candy. It's definitely worth a watch. And I like Ali Sheedy as well, because I liked her in Short Circuit and The Breakfast Club, and as well as Man's Best Friend. It was nice to hear the song "Only the Lonely" at the opening of the film. But as for the score itself, by Maurice Jarre. For the films that the guy did the scores with, he did the scores to Enemy Mine, Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, The Mosquito Coast, Fatal Attraction, Cocktail with Tom Cruise, Ghost, and Jacob's Ladder. I like the score. I like the score to Jacob's Ladder. That's good. And plus, I absolutely do enjoy Jacob's Ladder as well as Ghost. Then Not Only the Lonely, The River Wild, which was The River Wild was unused music for the main title sequence, and Jar was replaced by Jerry Goldsmith instead for The River Wild. White Squall, Sunshine, the 1999 film Sunshine, not the one from the 2000 and I think it was 2007 for Sunshine. That was that film with Cillian Murphy, but this is the 1999 Sunshine. Then the last scores he did was I Dreamed of Africa and Uprising, and then because he passed away in 2009 with cancer. That sucks. But from the scores I know the most from this guy is from Ghost and Jacob's Ladder. But I thought the score was decent with this film as well. But oh, whoops, flew out of my hands. I think it's a very decent film. Chris Columbus did a good job with the film. Of course, like I would definitely, for the films he made, I would still put Mrs. Doubtfire above this, and Home Alone 1 and 2. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. No, actually, no. That was John Hughes that directed Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, not Chris Columbus. But I would say I like this better than Pixels. Pixels was just a disappointment. I don't know what happened with Chris Columbus with that film. I would say I like this better than Pixels. But it only performed not that much. Like I said, it made about $25 million, and it was like received some positive reviews. It has a 6.3 on IMDb and a 62% Rotten Tomatoes. Some of the scenes I thought was pretty funny, but the drama stuff with John Candy I thought he did a really good job with. And the supporting cast, they all did a good job. Like I said, Ali Sheedy, Maureen O'Hara, Kevin Dunn, Anthony Quinn, Jim Belushi. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent romantic comedy film with some drama in it. And Maureen O'Hara, I know that's what people probably say, they probably don't like her character because of the stuff that she says in the film. Okay, she doesn't like the certain type of people, but still, I can tolerate it because, you know, it was a script that made her character like that, though. But still, I thought performance-wise, Maureen O'Hara did a good job, especially, you know, coming out of retirement for like how many years to come back for this. I thought she pulled off the performance well, as well as Ali Sheedy and definitely John Candy as well. I think John Candy nailed the role, especially when he did the drama stuff. And like I said, I just, you know, in retrospect, as I miss John Candy. I would say it's definitely worth a watch for John Candy, definitely, because I miss anyone who is a fan of John Candy or has not seen this film. Definitely recommend it for his performance. But yeah, so that's my review of Only the Lonely. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.